So we're going to look at some basic principles of the Constitution today. The three main ones that we're going to hit are, there's more than just these basic three. There's other ones, but the three ones that we're going to talk about today are the checks and balances, separation of powers, and federalism. So the first one I want to discuss with you all is separation of powers. Okay, power is definitely separated within the United States government. When our founding fathers, and in particularly James Madison, who is known as the father of the Constitution, they clearly feared putting too much power in the hands of any individual or even any one branch of government. So, separation of powers is a way of divvying up the power to make sure that one branch does not become too powerful. Each of these branches have different things that they're responsible for. First of all, does everyone know the three branches of government? Legislative, executive, and judicial. These branches are staffed by different jobs. They each have different responsibilities. That's all separation of powers means. And each of these branches are constitutionally equal and independent of one another. One branch is not more or less powerful than the other branches. So as you should be aware of, the legislative branch, their job is to make laws. The executive branch, their job is to enforce laws or carry them out. And the judicial branch, their job is to interpret the law. Because we are a nation built on laws. Can the President of the United States make a law?
No, but he can sign one.
That's checks and balances. Yeah. The President cannot make laws. That's not the President's job. The job to make laws belongs to the legislative branch. Can the Supreme Court make laws? No, only the legislature. This is where power is separated. The President cannot interpret laws. The President enforces them. And every level of government has separation of powers. Like at the state level, we still have three branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. And it works the same way. The governor of West Virginia does not make laws. The legislature does. This is separation of power. Each are equal, each are equally powerful, and they each have their own distinct jobs to do. All right? Does this make sense? So, everybody always tends to think that the president has the most power, and as far as an individual person goes, yes, the president does, because the legislative branch is equally powerful to the president, but there's 500 and some members of the legislative branch because it's all the senators and all the House of Representatives members. Whereas the judicial branch at the federal level only consists of 9 Supreme Court justices, and they have to rule with majority opinion. So the president and the vice president, the president's cabinet, they are pretty powerful people as well. Okay? So question on separation of powers. It's just that each branch has a job to do, and they're not allowed. There's no overlap. Okay? Can the president suggest legislation be made? Absolutely. Every year this happens in the State of the Union address. Like I would like to see these laws get made, and I push for Congress to pass these laws, and I encourage it. But as far as the president saying, okay, now this is a law because I said so, that doesn't exist. Okay, no laws. That's not the job of the president to make laws. All right. This is the reason why this is it's built in that way in the Constitution. You can find all of these spelled out in the Constitution. The second thing laid out is checks and balances. Separation of powers among the three branches is not enough. Is not enough protection. So the framers, they wanted to make sure that the powers of each branch of government could be used to check the power of the other branches of government. Each branch can tell the other two branches what to do, and vice versa. It's like this chart. It's cyclical. Each branch has powers over the other branches and the purpose of this is to ensure that one branch does not dominate or become more powerful than the other two branches. So the powers of each branch of government are checked or limited in some way. This helps to keep balance between the three branches of government, checks and balances. That's why it's called checks and balances. No branch has exclusive authority over any single activity. There is constant overlap. For example, if you want to become a member of the judicial branch at this federal level, if you want to become a Supreme Court justice, how does that happen?
You must get confirmed by the Senate.
Okay, but first,
But you have to have
before you even get to the Senate,
you have to be nominated by the president.
the nomination of the president. So to even be a member of the judicial branch, here, you have to be appointed by the president and then approved by this one. So there's power over the executive, and the executive have power over the judicial because the members of the judicial branch are picked by the president. Do you see how that works? Like each one has power over the other. Okay? And there's multiple ways that this happens. Like the legislative branch gets to make laws. They can make any laws that they want. But before it can become a law, who has to sign it? The president. What happens if the legislative branch and the president puts the signature on an unfair, unconstitutional law? Then the judicial branch has the authority to say this law is unconstitutional and just throw it out. All right? Checks and balances. No one branch is more powerful than the other because each branch has the ability to check the other branches. There are a lot of checks and balances. A lot. Okay? In terms of impeachment and nominations and declaring laws unconstitutional, and there's all kinds. These are just a few that I have listed up here at the top. Okay? All right. And questions on checks and balances? All right. Last one is federalism. Federalism. When I taught civics, everybody got federalism and the Federalists confused. They're not the same. Okay? Federalism is an idea. It's a principle. You could also know it and call it the federal system. Okay. This is another way in which we break down our government. We have three branches of government. We also have three levels of government. That's all federalism is. It's the levels of government. We have national level, we have the state level, and we have local levels of government. Local levels can take a variety of forms. Cities, towns, counties, parishes, whatever your state creates as local levels is what it is. So if you live in Crab Orchard, your local government is Raleigh County. If you live in Sophia, your local government is the town of Sophia. If you live in Beckley, it's the city of Beckley. It just depends upon your locality. Everyone in here, your state government is the state of West Virginia. And then everyone in here, your federal government is the United States of America. There are different levels. Okay. Each level has three branches. Who is in charge of what is the body that is the legislative branch of the federal government?
The national.
What is the body that makes up the legislative branch of the federal government? What is the body that is the legislative branch of the federal government?
Body, like legislatively, like House.
Yeah. Congress.
The Congress.
Congress. All right. What is the body that is the legislative branch for the state government of West Virginia?
State government, right? It'd be like
What is the body?
House of Delegates, the state.
That's right, the West Virginia state legislature. What about at local level? Depends on the local level. It could be your county commissioners. Depends on what your local level has established. Okay. All right. At the national level, what is the executive branch of the national level? The President of the United States and the Vice President. What is the executive branch of the state of West Virginia? The governor and lieutenant governor. And then, depending on your local level, it could also be your county commission. It could be the mayor. It all depends on what your local government is. All right. What is the judicial branch of the national government? It's the United States Supreme Court and other federal courts, other federal justices and judges, any federal court. State government?
Would be the West Virginia Supreme Court.
West Virginia Supreme Court would be the highest court in the land. There's also West Virginia Courts of Appeals, any state court. All right. Judicial branch of local government.
Magistrates?
Magistrates. Yep. Magistrates are local judges, and they have the power and the authority of a judge. They can do things like issue search warrants and arrest warrants and things of that nature. Set bail. Okay. So, federalism is just the division of power between the state and federal government. There are certain things the states can do, and there are certain things the federal government can do. Federalism is really established by the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment. Does anybody know the 10th Amendment? The 10th Amendment is called the Reserved Powers Amendment. Reserved Powers Amendment. Essentially, what it says is that any power the federal government does not explicitly have, the states can do it. The states can have that power. There are a lot of powers that are explicitly listed in the Constitution. They're called the enumerated powers. There's 17 of them in Article 1, Section 8. Article 1, Section 8. 17 enumerated powers. And those enumerated powers are powers that only belong to the federal government, to the national government. Things like establishing a postal service. There's no West Virginia post office. Only the federal government can establish a post office, what it says in the Constitution. Only the federal government can declare war. The state of West Virginia cannot declare war on a foreign nation. Only the United States of America can make treaties with foreign countries. Only the United States of America can raise an army. Only the United States of America can print and coin money. There's no West Virginia dollars. Those are the enumerated powers, and only the federal government can do that. States also have powers of their own. Licensing individuals. Like driver's licenses, marriage licenses, business licenses. I have a license to teach. It was not issued by the United States of America. I had to pay my $50 so I could come to work to the state of West Virginia so I can have a teaching license. Hairdressers have licenses, and they're all done by the states. Okay? So it's just a way in which power is divided. Responsibilities are divided between the federal government and the state government. This federalism is important because it often causes controversy. Like some people think federal government should be more powerful. Other people say the federal government should be less powerful and the states should have responsibility. So it's a cause for considerable consternation amongst conservatives and liberals. Okay? All right, so questions on these three very basic principles of the Constitution: federalism, separation of powers, checks and balances. All three of those are found within the Constitution, which are different than the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation. So there are some key differences that you need to be able to understand. Like if I were to say to you, what's the difference in the legislative branches of the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution? Who can tell me one difference?
The Articles of Confederation is unicameral, and the Constitution is bicameral.
Very good. The Articles are unicameral. They only had one house, and each state had one vote. Whereas the Constitution, there's two houses. One's based on population. One's based on equality. So there's a big difference. It's bicameral. All right. What about, what's the difference in the executive branch between the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution?
Well, they couldn't print and coin money in the Articles of Confederation, and in the
Okay.
Constitution they can.
Well,
It's an executive power.
right.
Yeah, it's
There is no executive.
There's no executive.
There was no executive branch in the Articles of Confederation. The Constitution has the President of the United States. Okay. What about the amendment process?
Let's see, it was
What was required to change? It had to be unanimous in the Articles. And then what about the Constitution? Three quarters,
okay.
3/4 of the states. There's multiple ways that you can amend the Constitution, but it's usually 3/4 of the states. Let's see. What about the power to coin money under the Articles?
Well, the states did.
States could. Could the United States make money? Print money?
Yeah, but it was worthless.
It was continental money,
Yeah.
but they could do it.
Yeah, they could.
And the states could do it as well. What about under the Constitution?
It would be
Only the United States of America can print money. Let's see. Taxes?
Yeah, they didn't have a power to tax.
They had no power to tax. All taxes were collected by who?
The state.
The states. What about under the Constitution?
It's collected by the federal government.
And
Well, and state.
everybody can tax you. Everybody. You get taxed everywhere. I live in the city of Beckley. There's special taxes for the city of Beckley. Okay? So, the Constitution allows for all levels to tax. All right? So be aware of some of these certain differences and be able to compare and contrast, what the differences between the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution. But remember, the Articles were very weak. They were a very weak form of government, and the Constitution is considerably stronger, but not oppressively strong. All right. Do you guys have questions? Okay. I want to stop there for the day. Tomorrow, for those of you guys that are at home, make sure that you read Federalist Paper number 68. The content of Federalist Paper number 68 is found in the October 2nd folder. And then once you read Federalist Paper 68, it's only a couple pages long. I want you to write a reaction to it. It's called a reaction paper. Reaction paper is basically just a one-page paper where you write a response to it about how it made you feel, what it was about, what are the effects of, because it was written in 1788, how did this document that Alexander Hamilton wrote over 200 years ago affect the lives of Americans today? The Federalist Paper number 68 is about the Electoral College, which is the process by which we elect the President and Vice President of the United States. So read it and then react to it. How you react to it is up to you. You may be in favor of it. You may be opposed to how Hamilton feels. How you feel does not interest me. That you feel is of interest of me. So I want you to have an opinion and be able to express that opinion on paper and then submit it through Schoology. So if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to message me today or tomorrow, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, so there you go.